Hi everyone, welcome to the webinar and workshop series conducted by TCS in lieu of the upcoming SCS exams happening in August 2024. My name is Nick and I'm the lead tutor and evaluator for SCS at TCS. So let's look at the session outcomes. First things first, I'm going to take you through examiner's comments with the intention of making sure that you understand what you are supposed to do when conducting your preparations, as well as what you are expected to achieve when attempting your real exam. And in the second part of today's session, I will talk about what you need to do to develop a high level of confidence, especially given the fact that as per the CIMA examiner, if you are confident about your skill set, if you believe in yourself, chances of you passing the SCS exam is extremely high. And as part of this second part, I will also mention what you need to do to overcome, exam stress when conducting your preparations as well as at your real exam. Okay, so let me quickly remind you about the upcoming workshops which we have scheduled for you. So we are kickstarting the workshop series on Sunday, the 28th of July, where I will be focusing my attention towards E3 related questions. So I will highlight how to tackle E3 related questions by explaining a question and an answer plan, which is based on our free mock exam. So that is happening on next Sunday. I hope you'd join it. And all these workshops are conducted free of charge. And in the following week, we will be conducting the second workshop where I will be taking you through an F3 related question. And in the third workshop, I will be taking you through a P3 related question. And in each of these workshops, you have the chance of getting in touch with me with the intention of clearing your doubts. And on top of that, you can easily keep track of your performance on a weekly basis by attending the weekly workshop. And the final workshop, which occurs 2 or 3 days before the examination, I will be sharing last minute tips with you to make sure that you walk into your exam with a positive mindset. Okay, so let's look at examiner's comments. When developing answers, you need to know what the examiner tells you or what the examiner expects from you. So if you are to develop good answers, you are supposed to develop answers which are totally aligned with the requirement or relevant to the requirement. So I highlighted how important it is that you understand the requirement before developing your answer plan. I explained all these things in the third webinar. If you missed it, please go watch the recorded version, which is accessible via our YouTube channel as well as via the student dashboard under free and paid content. So, before you develop the answer, your first step should be towards reading through the scenario. After reading the scenario, you are supposed to, understand the requirement. With the intention of understanding the requirement clearly, you are supposed to reiterate each requirement in your own words in a concise form. Why am I asking you to do this? With two things in mind. Number one is when you reiterate the requirement in your own words, you are taking all steps necessary to clearly understand the requirement. So if you clearly understand the requirement, then you will definitely come up with an answer plan which is totally aligned with the task at hand. And the second objective of doing this or reiterating the requirement in your own words in a concise form is to make sure that you have a simplified requirement. And halfway through the answer plan, if you want to check and see whether you are headed in the correct direction, it's easier to go through a simplified requirement. So with the intention of developing answers which are totally aligned with the requirement, and with the intention of making sure that you whilst developing the answer plan, you have the option of checking whether you are headed in the correct direction. With these two objectives in mind, you are supposed to reiterate each requirement in your own words in a simpler or concise form before you start developing the answer plan for each and every subtask. Okay. And when developing answers, you need to show to the examiner that you possess an appropriate level of technical knowledge, as well as you have worked on your application skills. So I, again explained these things in the third webinar. If I'm not mistaken, I took you through a question. What was it about? I think it was about funding options, if I'm not mistaken. So whilst taking you through this question, I highlighted how theoretical elements should be brought in when developing the answer. And at the same time, I said that you are not supposed to, name a theoretical concept by when developing your answers. Instead, you have to use your theoretical knowledge. However, you need to really work on your application skills, because 95% of the time your questions will be based on testing your application skills, because you are playing the role of a senior finance manager. As a senior finance manager, it's as if you are reporting to one of the board members or your CFO. So just assume that you are actually playing this role. If you are reporting to your CFO or a board member, will you ever talk about theories or concepts? You won't, talk about theories or concepts. Instead, you will utilize your knowledge, theoretical knowledge. However, when developing answers, you will always use the information presented in the scenario, and as and when necessary, you are supposed to bring in information from the pre-scene, because as the senior finance manager, you have to be considerate about the internal and external dynamics of your chosen company. When developing answers, you need to think about how the external dynamics will be affected, how your internal dynamics will be affected, and on top of that, you need to make sure that your recommendations or your evaluations are aligned with the financial situation of the company. So that's exactly why you need to have a good understanding about the pre-scene document. And on top of that, when developing answers, you need to utilize the information presented in each scenario with the intention of coming up with the best type of evaluations, or coming up with the best type of recommendations. You have to use your theoretical knowledge. So if you don't know theory, you cannot pass the SCS exam. However, just because you know theory, you cannot pass the SCS exam. Instead, you need to really focus on your application skills. So for instance, if there's a question about managing stakeholders, there's absolutely no point of mentioning about the Mendelov matrix. However, as per the Mendelov matrix, before we try to manage each stakeholder, we have to categorize them into 4 quadrants. And when we categorize the stakeholders, we are supposed to look at the level of interest and power of each stakeholder group. So that is what's mentioned within the Mendelov matrix. So rather than mentioning the concept by its name, you need to say, okay, we are dealing with the government. When dealing with the government, this is the level of interest of the government, and this is the level of power. And based on it, these are the steps which we need to take to manage the government. And when dealing with a certain set of customers, this is the level of interest held by these customers. This is the level of power in their possession. And based on these power levels and interest levels, we are supposed to, adhere to these type of strategies to manage them. So likewise, it's everything to do with application skills. However, in order to come up with the best type of evaluations, and in order to provide the best type of recommendations, you definitely have to utilize your theoretical knowledge. And when developing answers, if you are to develop good answers, they should be well structured. I'm not telling this. This is the CIMA examiner telling you what to do. And that's exactly why I said that you need to really focus on the answering technique, which we highlighted in the 3rd webinar, because as per the answering technique which we mentioned, or which we taught in the 3rd webinar, you are supposed to allocate 25 minutes of your time to develop the answer plan for all subtasks which appear within one single task. So there might be 2 subtasks or 3 subtasks within single task. So utilizing 25 minutes of your time, you are supposed to develop the answer plan for all subtasks at hand. So and on top of that, after you have developed this answer plan, after you had planned what you are supposed to include, after you have come up with a structure for the entire answer, then utilizing your remaining time, you are supposed to expand the answer plan in paragraph form. So that's exactly what the CIMA examiner is telling you as well. So after you have developed an answer plan, let's assume within your answer plan, you have come up with 9 main points, and in your fully fledged answer or your final answer, per answer point, you need to develop a paragraph. So if there were 9 main points, then in your fully fledged answer, you need to have 9 paragraphs. Okay, so there, if you do these things, you are falling in line with what the examiner is telling us. And whenever you are arguing something, or whenever you are evaluating something, or whenever you are recommending something, you have to back it up with appropriate justifications. So when providing these justifications, always think about the internal dynamics, the external dynamics of the company, what appears within the financial statements of the company, and on top of that, always think about what appears, the information which appears within your scenario. Don't bring in information or bring in examples which are not too relevant to the scenario at hand. Always think about how you can provide appropriate justifications. Considering the information presented in each scenario, you'd gain a better understanding about how to get these things done by watching our master classes and by going through the answer plans which we have developed for all 6 mock exams. So if you are to develop good answers, reiterate each requirement in your own words in a concise form before you develop the answer plan. And when developing the answer plan, your focus should be towards getting your application skills. And when working or when aiming to work on your application skills, you need to consider all the information presented in the scenario. At the same time, think about what type of relevant pre-seen information can be brought in when structuring your answer. And when, in order to come up with the best type of evaluations and recommendations, you have to utilize your theoretical knowledge and structure your answers. In order to do that, stick to our answering technique. Once you have the answer plan at your disposal, expand it within 30 minutes, thereby coming up with the fully fledged answer in paragraph form. And whenever you are trying to justify something, you have to back it up based on the information presented in each scenario and what appears within your pre-seen document. So all these things were taught in depth. I taught you guys how to get these things done in a successful manner in the 3rd webinar. So if you missed out on it, please go watch the recorded version. After learning these techniques, you are supposed to start attempting mock exams. Okay, so before the exam, what are you expected to do? You are supposed to study all areas of the syllabus. So as I mentioned earlier, although you are not supposed to talk about theoretical concepts when developing answers, you have to utilize your knowledge to come up with the best type of recommendations and to conduct the best type of evaluations. So you have to study all areas of the syllabus. I've encountered students who forget about a certain syllabus content or theoretical element just because they cannot understand it clearly. So for instance, most students forget about forex management, foreign exchange risk management, especially given the fact that it's a bit complicated. However, at your exam, if there is a question which tests your understanding about forex risk management, and if the weightage is 50% or 60%, you end up losing a chunk of your marks. And if so, chances of you passing the SCS exam becomes extremely low. So with the intention of being successful at your exam, you are not supposed to leave out any syllabus areas. Instead, you have to study all areas of the syllabus. I'm not saying this. This is the CIMA examiner who is asking you to do these things before the exam. So within 6 weeks, you cannot refer to the entire syllabus and conduct your revision. So with that in mind, we have developed a set of master classes. The objective of developing these master classes is to achieve 3 main things. Number 1 is to teach you the logic behind each answer. Number 2 is to teach you the relevant theoretical concept. And number 3 is to teach you how to apply the relevant theoretical concept considering the information presented in each scenario. So if you watch these master classes after attempting each mock exam, you can easily learn theory and improve application skills. You need not try to revise syllabus areas on your own. You need not try to learn theory on your own. We have done it for you. Simply watch the set of master classes which we have developed. And you need to work on your application. As I mentioned earlier, your exam is highly practical. Your application skills are tested heavily. So just because you know theory, you cannot pass the exam. Instead, you really need to work on your application skills. Again, we have developed the master classes to make sure that you learn this skill. And on top of that, you can refer to the answer plans provided by us, focused on all 6 mock exams. Then you are in a position to easily understand how to work on your application skills. I explain these things in depth in the 3rd webinar. So if you missed it, please go watch the recorded version. And when conducting your preparations before the exam, you are supposed to practice tasks. And how are you supposed to practice tasks? You are supposed to type or write full answers. So at your exam, you will be attempting 3 tasks at a stretch within 3 hours. And when attempting the exam, when attempting your mock exams, you are expected to attempt each mock exams under the same conditions. So as I've mentioned throughout this webinar series, I mentioned the fact that it's of utmost importance that you attempt mock exams under exam conditions. That's exactly why we have developed an exam platform, so that you have the opportunity of practicing answering technique. If you practice exams under exam conditions, then mock exams under exam conditions, then you will be exposed to exam stress. And it's best that you are exposed to exam stress when conducting your preparations rather than at your real exam. So in a little while, I will talk about what you need to do to overcome these type of stressful situations. So if you keep practicing our answering and time management techniques as well as stress management techniques when attempting each of the mock exams which we have developed, and if you keep practicing answering a technique, as I mentioned earlier, then you will be extremely successful at your exam. So the CIMA examiner wants you to practice tasks thereby typing or writing full answers. I've dealt with students who would attempt a certain mock exam divided into 3 parts. So there are students who would attempt the first task today, the second task of a certain mock tomorrow, and the third task day after tomorrow. However, I'm not recommending you to do it. The examiner is not asking you to do it. Instead, since you have to manage exam stress within 3 hours, you are supposed to, when attempting each mock exam, you are supposed to attempt each mock under exam conditions, thereby writing answers considering a full mock exam. That's exactly why we are not providing mock exams on a task by task basis. Just like in your real exam, we have developed full 3-hour mocks, and when attempting them, you have to do it on the exam conditions, because that's what the CIMA examiner is expecting you to do. And during the exam, you are supposed to plan your answers. So that's exactly why you need to practice your answering technique. If you get your bearings with your answering techniques, or if you champion it, then you will get it right at your real exam. So that's exactly why you need to keep practicing answering technique across the 6 mock exams. If you do so, you will be practicing answering and time management techniques 18 times over before you walk into your exam. That's enough and more practice for you to get it right at your real exam. And the examiner is telling us that the marker is under strict instructions to mark answers on their merits. So I've seen tutors out there talking about a word count per task or per subtask, which actually makes no sense when the examiner is clearly telling us that marks are based or provided based on merit or the quality of your answer. There's absolutely no point of focusing on the length of your answer or focusing on the word count. Instead, get your answer structures right, get your answering technique right. If you come up with high quality answers, or if you develop answer plans which are totally aligned with the requirement, when developing the answer plan, if you're thinking about how to bring in theoretical knowledge and how to work on your application skills, when developing the answer plan, if you're thinking about what type of relevant pre-seen information should be brought in with the intention of further improving the quality of your answer, then you are headed in the correct direction. And once you have a plan at your disposal, then when it comes to typing out the extended answer or the final answer, your life becomes easy. You are not trying to multitask. You are not trying to think as well as type. Instead, you have already spent some time to think. Utilizing the remaining time, you are supposed to simply type out or extend your answer plan. So all these things were highlighted in depth in the 3rd webinar, and this is exactly what the CIMA examiner is telling us. So it's of utmost importance that you follow these guidelines. If you do so, you will be successful at your upcoming SCS exam. Okay, so let's try to understand how the marking criteria works. I actually highlighted these things again in the 3rd webinar. So mark allocation for each subtask appears as a percentage under each requirement. So if you go through the mock exams, you'd understand what I'm talking about. So under each subtask, there is a weightage provided. So the marks allocated for each task is 50 marks in total. 50 marks into 3 tasks come up to 150 marks. So if a certain subtask carries a weightage of 50%, then it indicates that 50% of 50 marks are allocated. So 50% of 50 marks is 25 marks. So in order to gain 25 marks, you need to, when you know that 25 marks are allocated, then you can easily determine how many valid points or how many main points need to appear within your answer plan. How can you determine it? Because each valid point carries 2 or 3 marks. So if you are to get 25 marks, you need to have something like 7 to, 8 to 11 valid points within your answer. So you are supposed to develop or determine the number of answer points based on mark allocations. All right. So if you are to gain 20 marks for a certain subtask, since each valid point carries 2 or 3 marks, then you are supposed to have something like 7 to 10 valid points within your answer plan. And let's assume you came up with 8 valid points. Then in your extended answer or in your final answer, you need to have 8 paragraphs within your fully fledged answer. So in order to understand how to get these things right, watch the third recorded version of the third webinar, where I taught you these elements, as well as I took you through one of the mock exams which we have developed for you. Thereby I highlighted how to implement these techniques in a practical manner. And when attempting your mock exams, you are supposed to keep repeating these techniques over and over again until you champion it. And mark allocations are based on merit. So the examiner is actually focused on the quality of your answer, not the quantity. So you are not supposed to think about the word count. Instead, you should be focused on the quality of your answer, thereby focusing on your answer planning technique. Okay, so that's the marking criteria. So before we get into the second part of today's webinar, let me quickly mention what we offer at TCS. So I'm on the SCS page. Click on this button and create a free user account. Via the free user account, you will gain access to the free content which comes under the SCS free package. So click on the access content button, and under that you'd gain access to the recorded versions of the webinars and workshops which we conduct on a weekly basis. You will also gain access to the answer plan of the free mock exam, as well as the syllabus areas which are covered within the mock exams. You have to be conversant with all these syllabus areas to be successful at your real exam. And you will also gain access to the free mock exam, the question, as well as its suggested answer. And under the exams tab, by clicking on SCS free, you can start attempting the mock exam, free mock exam under exam conditions, which gives you the opportunity to practice answering and time management technique, as well as be exposed to exam stress, which will be extremely beneficial for you when conducting your preparations. It's best that you attempt mock exams under exam conditions as per the CIMA examiner. So these are the resources which we offer under the free content. And if you are interested in investing on paid content, click on this button and check the sample material to gain an understanding about the type of services which we offer at TCS. And if you are yet to join the SCS WhatsApp group, click on this button and join it. Via this group, you can engage in group learning. And at the same time, if you have any questions, you can raise these concerns. I'm always there to help you guys out. So talking about what we offer 2 main packages, the value pack and the premium pack. The value pack is designed for students, those who are coming through the CIMA general route, or in other words, those who had completed their OTQ exams. So since you have completed your OTQ exams, we assume that you have already learned theory. So since you already know your theory or your concept, since you possess the conceptual knowledge, you simply need to work on your application skills. So with these set of students' needs in mind, we have developed the value pack. So the value pack comes with the recordings of all webinars and workshops which we conduct on a weekly basis. Then you'd also gain access to 5 additional mocks with suggested answers. So all in all, you are gaining access to 6 mock exams. So 5 paid mocks plus the free mock exam comes up to 6 mock exams in total, along with their suggested answers. And as I mentioned earlier, we have made sure to cover all syllabus areas so that across these 6 mock exams, to make sure that you are conversant with how each syllabus area is tested at your real exam. And the value pack also comes with pre-scene analysis videos. You'd gain access to 3 pre-scene analysis videos. So rather than you trying to decrypt pre-scene information, simply watch these 3 videos, then you will gain an in-depth understanding about the internal dynamics as well as external dynamics of Saefwell and what appears within Saefwell's financial statements. You will also gain access to an annotated pre-scene, the industry and financial analysis slides. So let me quickly show you what I'm talking about. So this was an annotated pre-scene which we developed for a previous case study. So as you can see, we have come up with a good summary of the entire pre-scene. So you need not do much to really understand or memorize what appears within the pre-scene document. We have done it for you. So we have come up with a good summary. And on top of that, we have also, as part of these annotations, we have also highlighted probable exam scenarios which can be tested. And on top of that, we have also highlighted any syllabus areas which can be tested based on the hints provided by the examiner via the pre-scene document. So as you can see, throughout this document, we have come up with a good summary which makes your life easy when conducting your revision. And we have highlighted probable exam scenarios and any syllabus areas which can be tested. Okay. And looking at the industry analysis slides, it consists of 4 main elements. So we have first things first, we have defined your chosen industry with the intention of making sure that you really understand what your industry is all about. Then we have highlighted the information pertaining to the competitive landscape and industry trends. Mind you, based on the industry trends, scenarios will be thrown at you at your real exam. And at the very end, we have provided real world examples considering 2 real life companies. So that's what's covered within the industry analysis slides. You need not do anything to conduct your own research about the industry. We have done it for you. And with regards to the financial analysis slides, at the very end of your pre-scene document, you would have seen the financial statements of your chosen company and its closest competitor. So we have evaluated each financial statement in depth, thereby coming up with tutor notations. Again, we have kept things simple so that you can easily understand the information which appears under each financial statement. And at the very end, we have conducted a ratio analysis. Again, each of these ratios we have evaluated in depth, evaluated them in depth to make sure that you understand what happens within your chosen company. And we have also conducted a ratio analysis focused on your closest competitor as well. So all this comes under the value pack, and you'd also gain access to top 20 likely issue slides, which indicate the most probable scenarios which can be tested at your exam. You'd also gain access to a case study familiarization kit. So within 10 minutes, if you read this document, you are capable of understanding the technicalities behind your SCS exam clearly. You'd also gain access to a tutor managed live chat and OTQ revision cards. So I said that we have developed the value pack assuming that you have already completed your OTQs, thus you have already learned your theory. So after attempting each mock exam, if you feel that you cannot remember a certain theoretical concept, simply refer to the OTQ revision cards to conduct your revision or to brush up your knowledge concerning the relevant theoretical concept, then move on to the next mock exam. Okay, so the value pack is priced at £249. So talking about the premium package, this is designed for students who are coming through the exemption route, as well as those who had failed the SCS exam previously. Both these sets of students have the same problem. There are knowledge gaps. They don't know certain theoretical concepts, especially the concepts which are covered in F3 and P3 syllabi. And on top of that, these students need to really focus on their application skills. So with the intention of teaching you theory and improving your application skills, we have provided additional resources under the premium package. So you'd gain access to everything which comes under the value pack. In addition to that, You'd also gain access to the online mock exam platform on which you can attempt all 6 mock exams under exam conditions, which gives you the opportunity to be exposed to exam stress. At the same time, you'd have the chance of practicing answering and time management techniques when attempting each of your mock exams. So as per the CIMA examiner, you are supposed to, when practicing tasks, you are supposed to attempt full mock exams. So you can do exactly that when you gain access to the exam platform. Thereby, you have the opportunity of attempting each mock exam under exam conditions, because it's of utmost importance that you practice the techniques which we've taught you throughout this webinar series, so that you would be successful at your real exam. And you'd also receive one-on-one tutor feedback on the last 3 mock exams. So the first 3 mocks are there to get your bearings with your answering and time management technique. And from mock 3 onwards, we are providing tutor feedback. You can see that we have provided feedback on a paragraph by paragraph basis. And if there are major shortcomings, we have come up with tutor notes as well. So throughout this answer script, you can see the type of feedback which we have provided with the intention of highlighting your shortcomings, because without understanding your shortcomings, you cannot work towards overcoming them. So the objective of providing tutor feedback is to make sure that you really understand your shortcomings. And as part of these evaluations, we have also suggested what you need to do to overcome each of your shortcomings. So throughout this answer script, we have provided in-depth feedback, and at the very end, we have provided tutor mark allocations based on a subtask basis. So, and on top of that, we have also provided a success rate under each subtask. And these subtasks which are highlighted in yellow indicate the subtasks in which your performance was substandard. So after receiving tutor feedback, what should you do? You should focus on redeveloping answer plans. So when redeveloping answer plans, you need to simply focus on the subtasks which are highlighted in yellow, because rather than focusing on your successful answers, it's of utmost importance that you focus on the answer plans or the answers which you have developed for certain subtasks in which you have not gained good marks. So after redeveloping the fresh answer plans or the new answer plans, you are supposed to compare your fresh answer plans to the answer plans provided by TCS to further improve your understanding, further improve your theoretical knowledge and your application skills. So that's the best type of feedback you should conduct after attempting each mock exam on a weekly basis. And at the very end, we have provided general comments as well. So that's the type of feedback you'd receive under the premium package. And on top of that, you'd gain access to answer plans of all mock exams, especially if you're coming through an exemption route or if you had failed. These answer plans will come in handy, given the fact that you need not spend time to go through pages and pages of suggested answers and understand how you should structure the answer. Instead, we have done it for you. So by going through these answer plans or these answer structures, you can easily understand how to develop answers which are totally aligned with the requirement, what type of theoretical elements should be brought in when developing the answer, and how to work on your application skills, and what type of pre-seen information should be brought in when developing your answer. All in all, you can easily understand how to structure the answer. So if you can mirror these answer plans when conducting your revision, when redeveloping answer plans, then you are headed in the correct direction. So as you can see, you can easily understand the logic behind each answer when you gain access to these answer plans which are developed for all 6 mock exams. And the premium pack also comes with 15 master classes. So there are 5 paid mock exams, and focused on each mock exam, we have developed 3 master classes each. So in each mock exam, there are 3 tasks, just like in your real exam. So 3 tasks into 5 mocks come up to 15 tasks in total. So focused on each task, we have developed the masterclass. And as I mentioned earlier, in each masterclass, we are trying to achieve 3 things. Number 1, we are trying to explain the logic behind the answer. Number 2, we are trying to teach you theory. And in number 3, we are trying to explain how to improve your application skills. So if you're coming through an exemption route, if you had failed the SCS exam previously, it's of utmost importance that you gain access to these master classes, because after attempting each mock exam, you are supposed to watch these master classes to learn theory and improve application. After learning theory and improving application, then you have to put your knowledge into practice, thereby redeveloping answer plans once you are done watching the master classes. And once you have access to all this content, you can pass for sure. That's why we are providing a pass guarantee under the premium package. So if you invest on the premium package and end up failing, you'd gain access to the premium package in your subsequent sitting free of charge. However, in order to claim the pass guarantee, you need to complete these three requirements. You have to complete all mock exams. If not, you are taking a chance. You won't know how each syllabus area is tested at your real exam, and your solutions need to be original. You should not watch any of the master classes or refer to the suggested answer or the answer plan before attempting each mock exam. Instead, try to do it on your own, give your best shot, then you are well poised to understand what your shortcomings are. Because as I mentioned earlier, without understanding your shortcomings, you cannot work towards overcoming each of these shortcomings. And you have to also meet the performance criteria for the last three mock exams. Thereby, you are expected to score 40% or higher for the last three mocks. We have come up with this criteria to make sure that you are doing a serious job when attempting the last three mocks, especially given the fact that we are providing tutor feedback. So once you complete all these three requirements, there's no way that you'd fail the SCS exam, hence the pass guarantee. So the price of the package is £849, which can be paid in two installments of £424 each, spread across 2 months. Or if you opt to pay in full, you stand a chance of saving £100. Therefore, the price of the package will be just £749. So let me quickly remind you about what you are supposed to do according to our initial study plan. I'm happy to say that two students are already sticking to the study plan, which is good. So I hope the others will start attempting mock exams, thereby adhering to the study plan. So according to the study plan, we are in week number 4. So within this week, you are supposed to focus on mock number 2. So if you are yet to start preparations, you still have time. Start by attempting the free mock and at least attempt the free mock and mock number 1 within this week, so that in the next week you can focus on mocks 2 and 3. So if you had already adhered to the study plan, focus your attention towards mock number 2. So attempt the mock exam. After attempting the mock exam, watch the master classes to learn theory and improve application skills, and put your knowledge into practice by redeveloping answer plans. Once you have your fresh answer plans, compare them to the answer plans provided by TCS to further improve your understanding about answering technique. Okay, so this week should be dedicated towards week number 2. And if you're yet to start your preparations, you still have time. You have 4 weeks at your disposal. That's enough and more time for you to get things done. So because as per our initial study plan, you need to just allocate 7 hours of study time. So if you are yet to start, you are supposed to spend 14 hours of study time in the upcoming 2 weeks. After that, you will be totally aligned with our study plan. So just focus on attempting 2 mocks this week, and from next week onwards you will be in the right path. Okay, so that's what we offer, and let's move on to the second part of today's webinar, where I'm going to talk about what you need to do to develop a high level of confidence. So before I talk about these things, I think a question had come through. I'm going to address the concern. I'm going to pause the recording. All right, folks, thank you for those questions. I hope I addressed everything. So moving on to the second part of today's webinar, I want to talk about what you need to do to develop your confidence before the exam, as well as during the exam. So in order to develop your confidence before the exam, simply stick to the study plan where I took you through the study plan a while back. And you can gain an in-depth understanding about how to stick to the study plan by referring to the recorded version of webinar number 1. However, simply, our study plan is a situation where you are focusing on the mock exams. When conducting your preparations, you forget about everything else. So when focusing on mock exams, step number 1 is to attempt a certain mock. Let's assume you are attempting mock number 1. So attempt mock number 1. Then Second step is to refer to the master classes or watch the master classes to learn theory and improve application skills. Step number 3 is to put your knowledge into practice, thereby redeveloping answer plans on your own, taking your own time. And once you have your fresh answer plans at your disposal, compare them to TCS's answer plans to see further improve your understanding about answering techniques. So that is your fourth step. So stick to this process in the upcoming 4 weeks when attempting each mock exam. Then you will get your bearings with the answering technique. You will structure your answers properly, and you make sure that you develop high quality answers. And you can access the study plan via the website as well. And it's best that you stick to a routine in the upcoming 4 weeks, at least in the upcoming 4 weeks. It's best to wake up and sleep at a predetermined time. If you're finding it hard to wake up and sleep at a predetermined time, then get your meal intake right. Focus on having your breakfast, lunch, and dinner at predetermined times. Then you will fall asleep at a specific time, and which will enable you to wake up at a specific time. So stick to a routine at least in the upcoming 4 weeks, because it's not easy to balance your work as well as your studies. As per our study plan, you are expected to only spend 7 hours of study time per week. We have developed a study system because we know for a fact that it's not easy to conduct studies as well as look after your family, and at the same time having to work or run your business. So it's best when you are trying to juggle all these things, it's best that you stick to a routine, especially given the fact that you are exposed to a little bit of stress because you have to spend additional time on studies. And when practicing mock exams, you have to do it under exam conditions. That's the best way to improve your answering and time management technique, because if you improve your answering and time management technique, you will start believing in your skill set. And when you believe in yourself, you are well poised to play the role of a senior finance manager. So with that in mind, practice each mock exam under simulated exam conditions using our mock exam platform. And when attempting mocks, do it in isolation, just like in your real exam, because at your real exam, you have to sit in one place and have a go at your exam 3 hours at a stretch. So when practicing mock exams, you are supposed to replicate the same methodology and stick to the exam technique routine, which we have highlighted in the third webinar. So 5 minutes should be allocated towards reading the scenario. 25 minutes should be allocated towards developing the answer plan focused on all subtasks which appear within a certain task. Then the remaining 30 minutes should be allocated towards typing your extended answer or your final answer. In other words, 30 minutes should be allocated towards expanding the answer plan in paragraph form. So keep practicing these things, and by the time you are at mock number 3, you will understand that you are in a position to manage your time. You will understand that the quality of your answer plans are improving on a weekly basis. You will also understand that your application skills had improved significantly. So keep practicing these techniques under exam conditions. If so, you will be extremely successful at your real exam. And it's best that you work towards managing stress, because the CIMA examinee is not just testing your theoretical knowledge and application skills. The CIMA examinee is trying to really understand whether you are capable of playing the role of a senior finance manager, whether you deserve to become a management accountant. So a management accountant is an individual who is not only conversant with theoretical concepts, not only conversant with application skills. A management accountant should possess the ability to manage stressful situations. So management accountants, as you know, are involved with decision making within an organization. According to the statistics, 80% of management accountants in Europe, they end up starting their own business. So when running your business, you will be exposed to extreme levels of stress, because you have to deal with a lot of stakeholders as opposed to working in an office. So the examiner is trying to figure out whether you are capable of managing stress, on top of trying to understand whether you have learned your theory and whether you have the capability of applying this theoretical knowledge when conducting your evaluations or when coming up with recommendations. So you need to know how to manage stress when attempting the mock exams, because take it from me, the examiner purposely includes one or two subtasks within your exam with the intention of creating stress, with the intention of throwing you off your exam strategy. So if you work on managing your stress, if you practice managing stress when attempting the 6 mock exams, you will know what to do at your exam when you are exposed to stress. If not, you will experience brain freeze. And when you are exposed to brain freeze, you are trying to, even if you are trying to read through the requirement, you won't understand anything. When you're trying to develop the answer plan, nothing will come into your mind. Even when you have an answer plan, if you're exposed to brain freeze, you won't have the capability of expanding your answer plan. So you have to make sure that you know what to do to manage your stress. So the best way to manage your stress is to stick to the answering technique, which I highlighted earlier. And at the same time, when attempting each mock exam, think that you are the senior finance manager at Saefwell. As the senior finance manager, you try to come up with the best type of recommendations, best type of evaluations. So if you think that you are actually playing this role, it will help you immensely at your real exam to come up with the best type of evaluations and recommendations. And if you encounter stress, what are you expected to do? So first things first, if you are to come up with the best type of answers, you have to utilize your prefrontal cortex or the front part of your brain, because whenever an individual is involved with rational decision making devoid of emotions, or if an individual is supposed to come up with the best type of decisions, conduct the best type of evaluations, letting go of any emotions, then you have to think utilizing your prefrontal cortex or the front part of your brain. So if you practice the answering and time management technique, which we taught right now, it's as if you are thinking through your prefrontal cortex whenever you are developing the answer plan. And when it comes to typing, you need not actually use the prefrontal cortex because you already know what to type. It's just a matter of expanding your answer plan. So every 30 minutes, you are expected to utilize your prefrontal cortex. And you might have heard about something called the flow, working under the flow. So a flow state is a situation where someone practices a certain a skill for a certain period of time. After practicing the skill, they will champion the skill. And once they champion the skill, when they put it into practice, they will actually enjoy, doing it. They are not exposed to stress levels. They are passionate about what they do, and on top of that, they will never experience fatigue. Even you would have experienced this if you are doing something which you like. When you are practicing a certain skill for the first time, it's not going to be easy. You will be exposed to fatigue, you will go wrong, you will be exposed to extreme levels of stress. But with practice, once you get your bearings with a certain type of skill, you'd actually enjoy doing that activity. It's like learning to play an instrument. Let's assume you are learning to play a guitar. So when you start your practicing or start learning or start the learning process, it's not easy. You'd go wrong, you'd keep looking at the fretboard, you'd try to get your fingering right, you'd get frustrated, you will be exposed to stress levels, and on top of that, your fingers will start to hurt. All these type of negative elements, you would be exposed to all these type of negative elements. However, with practice, once you get your bearings with the instrument, it's as if the instrument is part of your body. So you don't need to think twice before playing a certain chord. When shifting between chords, you'd actually enjoy doing it. You'll lose track of time, and you'd be actually passionate about what you do. You will never be exposed to fatigue if you really have mastered a certain musical instrument. And if you had mastered it, you'd actually love doing it. So the same, you need to stick to the same process when attempting the mock exams. That's exactly why, in order to make sure that you are at the flow stage, or you are exposed to the flow stage at your real exam, we have made sure that you have the opportunity of attempting each mock exam under exam conditions. Because just like practicing a musical instrument, you have to practice the answering and time management technique. So when you are practicing these things for the first time, you'd go wrong, you won't like it. You'd feel that you are running out of time. You'd feel that you cannot develop answer plans within 25 minutes and whatnot. However, once you get your bearings with it, you'd actually enjoy doing it because you have mastered a skill. So in order to be at the flow state, in order to come up with the best type of decisions, you are supposed to utilize your prefrontal cortex or the front part of your brain. However, as I mentioned earlier, however much you have championed the answering and time management techniques at the exam, definitely there is going to be a subtask or two subtasks which are actually vague. You cannot think about an appropriate or a high quality answer because of the vagueness of the subtask. And these type of subtasks are meant to throw you off your exam strategy. So when you are exposed to such a subtask, your brain functions will shift from your prefrontal cortex to an extremely small part of our brain, which is known as the amygdala. So when the amygdala is in play, you will be exposed to a fight or flight response. So what is a fight or flight response? Our human brain is developed in a way, if we are exposed to stress, either we are expected to fight it or we are expected to get away from it. So at the exam, you can't fight these emotions. So the general tendency is for you to forget about the answering technique, forget about time management. Instead, you will come up with rushed answers with the intention of finishing the exam as fast as possible, thereby letting go of these stressful emotions or stressful situation. So when you are attempting your first task, you will be totally fine. But since the attention span of a human brain is 45 minutes, so the first task goes on for 60 minutes. So you would be totally fine within the first task. When attempting the first task, you won't be exposed to extreme levels of stress. But towards the end, towards the latter part of your exam, especially in task number 3, you will be exposed to fatigue. And with fatigue, on top of fatigue, if you see a certain subtask which is vague, this leads to extreme levels of stress. Extreme levels of stress lead to panic. Panic leads to brain freeze. And once you experience brain freeze, you cannot come up with a good answer. So because of that, you'd try to finish the exam as fast as possible, forgetting about what you have practiced when conducting your preparations. So the best step which you need to take is to switch off the amygdala and get your prefrontal cortex working once more. So how can you switch off the amygdala? There's only one thing which you can do. You have to focus on your breathing. Close your eyes and breathe for 2 minutes. When breathing, you have to focus on inhaling and exhaling. When inhaling, inhale through your nose. When exhaling, exhale through your mouth. And when you are inhaling, focus on the tip of your nose. Feel the air coming into your system. And when exhaling, focus on the tip of your lips. Feel the air leaving your system. So that's the only way to switch off the amygdala, because I was talking about a flow state. In a flow state, I said that human beings are utilizing their prefrontal cortex. So if you are to get your brain functions back to the prefrontal cortex, you have to focus on one single thing, and the best thing to focus on is your breathing. So close your eyes whenever you are exposed to exam stress. Close your eyes, focus on your breathing. The entry point of the airflow as well as the exit point of the airflow. Focus on it. It's as if you are resetting your brain. And once you have taken steps to reset your brain, your life becomes easy. You'd see clearer because you are not experiencing a fight or flight response. Instead, you are taking the most rational decisions because you are thinking through your prefrontal cortex. So you have to, whenever you encounter stress, you have to switch off your amygdala. So there's only one way to switch off your amygdala, that is to close your eyes and breathe slowly for 2 minutes, focusing on your inhaling and exhaling. And it's best practice, before you start each requirement or each task, close your eyes and focus on your breathing or reset your brain. Get the prefrontal cortex once more, especially within the first 30 minutes of each task, because that's when you are developing the answer plan, or that's when you are spending some time to plan out your answer. So after the first task is done, before you start with the second task, close your eyes, focus on your breathing for 2 minutes. You are resetting your brain. And once you are dealing with a fresh brain, then you'd find it extremely easy to come up with high quality answers for task number 2. And once you're done with task number 2, again, before you start task number 3, focus on your breathing, reset your brain, and start working on your answer plans. And on top of that, if you stick to our answer plan, if you stick to our answering technique, it's as if you are actually focusing on rational decision making for just 30 minutes out of the 60 minutes, because as per our answering technique, the first 30 minutes should be allocated towards reading the question and developing the answer plan or structuring the answer. And once you have a structure at your disposal, you are relaxing for the next 30 minutes, because once you have a structure at your disposal, it's just a matter of expanding it in paragraph form. And it's best to drink some water as well, because it helps you calm your nerves whenever you are encountering a stressful situation. However, if you are attempting the exam at home, you cannot drink water. And on top of that, in certain exam halls or evaluation centers, they will not let you take a water bottle. So it's best that you focus on the technique which I highlighted right now, thereby taking the necessary steps to manage your stress levels. You won't get, just because you know this, you won't get this right at your real exam unless and otherwise you practice this technique. Because as I mentioned earlier, in order to be in the flow state, if you're playing an instrument, you need to practice it. When you are practicing it, you'd be exposed to a certain set of negativities. However, in order to overcome these negativities, you have to keep practicing. So just like you playing an instrument or doing something new or trying to improve one of your or improve a new skill, you have to keep practicing these techniques over and over again across the 6 mock exams. Then you will champion it at your real exam. So that's exactly why I said it's of utmost importance that you attempt each mock exam under exam conditions. Then you'd know how to manage your stress. Then you'd know how to structure your answers properly. Then you'd know how to manage your time appropriately. If you get these 3 elements right, you will pass the SCS exam for sure. And in the upcoming 4 weeks, it's best that you avoid these deflections. Don't rely on predictions, because the CIMA examiner is trying to replicate a real-life corporate environment. So in a real-life corporate environment, you cannot predict anything. It's as if you are walking into office and checking your email. And once you check your email, considering the information presented in each email, you are supposed to develop your responses. So you cannot predict what your company is going to, face in the next week before you walk into office. So there's absolutely no point of trying to go for or trying to be interested in predictions. I've, dealing with students who are always asking about the last 3 variants which were tested in the exam which was conducted in May. There's absolutely no point of thinking about variants, because as a senior finance manager, you won't know what you are going to be exposed to, what type of opportunities your company is going to exploit, what type of issues your company is going to face. You cannot predict them. Instead, your role is to consider the information presented and based on this information, come up with the best type of solutions. So don't rely on predictions. That's a deflection which you need to avoid. You would be wasting your time if you try to do it. And excessive industry analysis is a problem as well. There's absolutely no point of trying to understand industry dynamics. Certain questions came through the WhatsApp group as well about, including real life examples when developing your answers. Always remember, you are playing a fictitious role in a fictitious company which is based in a fictitious industry. So there's absolutely no point of trying to conduct an industry analysis on your own. If you do so, you would be wasting your time. Instead, simply refer to the industry analysis slides which we have developed. After that, forget about the industry. Then your attention should be directed towards attempting the mock exams, because your exam is all about theoretical knowledge, application skills, and managing exam stress. So stick to the study process which we have recommended for you in order to improve these techniques, because if you improve these techniques, you will be successful at your real exam. And misguided use of past papers is a problem as well. If you try to conduct your preparations based on past papers, then you won't be successful at the exam, especially given the fact that past variants or past papers are based on totally different pre-seen documents, which are based on totally different companies, totally different industries, and totally different financial statements. You will not have the capability of decrypting the suggested answers and applying these suggested answers to your pre-seen document. If you try to do it, it will take a lot of time. You simply have 4 weeks at your disposal. So because of that, there's absolutely no point of referring to past papers when conducting your preparations. Instead, refer to exam standard and pre-seen specific mock exams and attempt each of these mock exams under exam conditions to get your to champion answering and time management technique, as well as manage your manage stressful situations at your real exam. And information overload is a killer. Closer to the exam, students tend to go through their past notes, their study texts and whatnot. They will try to learn theory. Even if you go through your study texts, there's absolutely no way that you'd improve your application skills, because if you refer to your study texts or your past notes, the theoretical concepts are there, yes. However, in order to improve your application skills, you have to attempt mock exams and watch the master classes. So you simply have 4 weeks at your disposal. Don't conduct industry research. Don't try to conduct research based on the pre-seen document. Don't try to go through past exam variants. Don't try to go through your past notes and study text to learn theory. The best way to get all these things done within a short period of time is to attempt mock exams under exam conditions and watch our master classes. And overemphasis on the exam blueprint is a waste of time as well, because all the necessary information which appears within the exam blueprint have been covered within the 4 webinars which we have conducted so far. And if you're attempting the exam at home, refer to this link and get your bearings with the Pearson VUE system. Do it now itself, so that because closer to the exam, this link sometimes does not work. So do it now itself if you're planning on sitting for the SCS exams happening in August. I will share this link via the WhatsApp group once this session is done. And we are happy to say that we achieved a 92% pass rate in the previous sitting. And, those who adhered to our study plan, those who focused on the study process developed by TCS were extremely successful at the exam. And even though the pass mark is just 80, our students gained more than 100 marks. Those who stuck to the study plan gained more than 100 marks easily. So simply focus your attention towards learning theory, improving application, and conducting your revision based on the 6 mock exams which we have developed for you, especially given the fact that these 6 mock exams cover the entire syllabus, as well as these 6 mock exams are pre-seen specific. Okay. I'm opening up for the weekly Q&A. So I'm going to pause the recording. All right, folks, thank you for those questions. I hope I addressed everything. If you want to contact us, you can do it via our website, which is www.study@tcs.com. Go to our website and click on the contact button and drop your message. Our admin staff will get in touch with you via email. And you can email us on info@study@tcs.com, as well as WhatsApp us on this number. And I invite you guys to follow us on our YouTube social media handles, especially YouTube, especially given the fact that all the recorded versions of webinars, the weekly webinars and workshops are uploaded onto our YouTube channel. And via our TikTok handle, you will gain access to pre-seen mind map. So we have come up with a good summary of the entire pre-seen. You need not do anything to memorize what appears within the pre-seen document. We have done it for you. So within 7 to 9 minutes, if you keep watching these 3 TikToks, you'd gain an in-depth understanding about what appears within your pre-seen. So go watch these 3 videos on a daily basis until your exam, so that you'd remember the most important points which appear within your pre-seen document on the day of your exam. So having said that, it brings us to the end of today's webinar. Thank you very much for joining in. And I expect to see you guys in the workshop series. The first workshop is happening next Saturday, where I will be taking you through a question related to your E3 syllabus. And I hope you'd start your preparations. You still have time. If you're thinking about sitting for the exam in August, start your preparations now itself. I've actually shared, for those who are yet to start their preparations, I've actually shared a 4.5 week study plan via the WhatsApp group, which starts from tomorrow. So I hope you'd stick to it, because if you stick to it, you will complete all required activities. You will attempt all 6 mock exams. You will watch all the master classes. Then you will redevelop answer plans for all mock exams. And if you do so closer to the exam, you are expected to relax a lot. Your only job will be to revise the answer plans which are provided by us. So I hope you'd start your preparations right now, until waiting until the last 2 weeks or the last week, because if so, you won't have enough time. Even if you have time to attempt all 6 mock exams, you won't have time to conduct your revision, because it's of utmost importance that you conduct your revision in order to improve the quality of your answer structures. So I'll see you guys next week. Thank you very much for joining in. See you.